or nothing religiosity. So any hint of human influence might seem, at least to some believers, as possibly undermining the whole. Again, some Christians have felt the same way about the Bible, but claims of perfection and inerrancy are generally not contained within the Old and New Testaments themselves, as they are in the Quran. They were interpretations that were imposed on the Bible by later generations of believers. Close readings of the Quran, which might uncover contradictions or anachronisms, obscurities, borrowings from other religious traditions, or outdated ethical principles, can produce intense anxiety in those who regard the text as revealed, and sometimes can call forth considerable creativity or ingenuity on the part of commentators. For example, it's often been noted that the contents of the Quran don't seem to be arranged in any particular order, and topics, even within individual surahs, can appear to be jumbled together. Yet Muslims believe that the current organization is divinely mandated. It's not random. So what appears to be a weakness must actually be a strength. So they might point out that a strictly chronological arrangement, so if you organize the Quran according to the order in which Muhammad received the surahs, that might give the impression of theological development over time, when there is none, right? It was a perfect, eternal book. Or if you arrange the Quran by topics, that might make it a little less useful. The translator Muhammad Abdul Halim explains, "In a religion that seeks to affect people's beliefs and behavior in all aspects of life, it is never sufficient to say something once or twice, and if the material on God, on earlier prophets, or on the Day of Judgment were each dealt with only once, the effect would not be so all-pervasive. This technique compresses many aspects of the Quranic message into any one surah, each forming self-contained lessons. This is particularly useful as it is rare for anyone to read the whole Quran at once. It's mainly used in short sections in worship and in preaching." Okay, that is a very nice response to a common critique of the Quran's repetitiveness and lack of obvious structure. Our translator finds some meaning and reason in the form that the Quran takes now. Now, note that logic and reason are not foreign to traditional interpretations made within the context of faithful inquiry. The schools of Islamic law are wonderful testaments to the power of the human mind to find order and meaning in texts. And I suppose the same observation could be made about rabbinical readings of the Torah contained in the Talmud, or biblical exegesis of the Christian church fathers. Yet the criticisms made by outsiders in the context of skepticism rather than faith can seem much more threatening. So outsiders might ask, what about Quranic teachings on holy war, or the subordinate position of women, or polygamy, or religious intolerance, or slavery? And indeed, even insiders, some Muslims, are sometimes questioning about those difficult issues. Some believers, and certainly outsiders, may be comfortable putting the revelations given to Muhammad some 14 centuries ago into their historical context, saying, for example, that in the 7th century Arabia, the teachings of the Quran on women were actually rather progressive, at least for the time. So the tradition is to affirm the worth and equality of women, and that's what Muslims should stand for today. Yet other believers are wary of any interpretations that take the Quran out of the eternal realms and tie it to historical time and circumstances. This is a crucial issue for contemporary Muslims, and in our next lecture, we'll continue our exploration at how a medieval text can still be relevant in the modern world as we talk about the Hadith and Sufism. But for now, as a reminder of the power of this sacred text, let me conclude with one of the most beautiful and beloved passages in the Quran, the so-called verse of light from Surah 24, verse 35, which is inscribed on many mosques in lovely calligraphy, and it's given all sorts of mystical or allegorical interpretations. It says, "God is the light of the heavens and the earth. The parable of his light is as if there were a niche, and within it a lamp, the lamp enclosed in glass. The glass as it were a brilliant star, lit for a blessed tree, an olive, neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil is well nigh luminous, though fire scarce touched it, light upon light. God doth guide whom he will to his light. God doth set forth parables for men, and God doth know all things. Powerful words and provocative sentiments.